What's up, nerds? All right, today we are about to put the bat signal on blast with this review of Batman the Caped Crusader, which is streaming now on Amazon Prime. Well, buckle up because this show is as disappointing as finding out Batman's utility belt only has room for granola bars. First up, let's talk about our hero Batman himself, voiced by Hamish Linklater. Love Hamish Linklater, just want to say that real quick. But if this Bruce Wayne were a Batmobile, he'd be the kind that stalls in the middle of the highway during a high-speed chase. You know what I'm saying? His portrayal is about as dynamic as a flat tire. Okay. Instead of the brooding detective we expect, we get this one-dimensional version that seems to be, permanently stuck in this emotionally unavailable lane. And I just personally didn't feel it. I also just felt like Batman wasn't in it enough, in my personal opinion. It was a lot of Bruce Wayne, which don't get me wrong, usually I would like, but I could have used a lot more Batman and a little less Bruce Wayne. Now on to the villains. And oh boy, where do I start? Okay, Harley Quinn, voiced by Jamie Chung, is like a bad sequel to a beloved movie, okay? She's supposed to be a chaotic force of nature, but here she's more like a mild breeze with a penchant for poor executed pranks. Okay. Now, if you're hoping for zany, take a rain check. This Harley's more dull than a clown's rubber nose, which I was very, disappointed with. I love Harley Quinn and from the animated Batman show from back in the 90s. And the problem with this one is they tried to say that the Harley Quinn character was more of the seriousness to the character. And then Harley Quinzel, the therapist, was more of the zany type and everything, which I did not like. I did not like that at all. Nobody wants their therapist to be zany and fun and shit. We want you to get our problem solved or help us solve our own problems. Also, I just felt that she was not good. Like, I did not like this character, not one fucking bit. And I really hated it. I know they wanted to make her Asian, which was like fine, but it didn't serve any purpose. Even her whole let's hypnotize these rich men to give away their money to charities that they normally wouldn't give to was just very like political, and I just wasn't feeling it. So I hated this character in the show. And if she's dead, stay dead, because I'm not interested in having you around anymore, especially in this iteration. Okay, so the Joker makes a brief appearance, but let's be honest, it's more like a blink and you miss it kind of moment. You know what I'm saying? The Joker's reveal is, short, and I did like it a lot. I mean, I liked, we didn't get a full face reveal. We just got the eyes and whatnot. And the smile serum is creepy, sure, but not nearly enough to leave a lasting impression. It's like expecting fireworks and getting a sparkler instead. And I think that not having the Joker in the show and having all of his other Batman characters was probably a bad choice. It was something I personally did not enjoy. The Penguin, played by Minnie Driver, is supposed to be a formidable crime boss. Instead, she's about as intimidating as an actual penguin in a top hat. Her role is more comical than menacing, and her scenes feel like a failed attempt at high-stakes drama, more like a duck out of water than a fearsome foe. And Bruce Timm explained why he made the Penguin into a woman. And he said that it was because Batman lacks good villains and there needs to be more females. And I think that, this is just more intersectional feminism nonsense that I'm not here for. And it's very obvious that Bruce Timm has lost the plot and he does not understand Batman. And I think that maybe going forward, he should not be working on any more animated Batman shows because he doesn't understand Batman. And I think that making Penguin into a female was a horrible choice. And Batman has some of the best, if not the best, I could argue the best villains, rogues gallery of all time. And for him to say he doesn't have good villains is just fucking blasphemy. I mean, he should be fired just for that comment alone. So I think that not only is he wrong, he can suck a dick. Preferably my dick, because I like getting my dick sucked. Two-Face is back, but his storyline is more tired than a Batmobile in need of a tune-up. His courtroom dramas is stale, at best, And I just watching his character unfold feels like rehashing the same old plot devices without any real depth or innovation. I mean, we've seen this story over and over again. And don't get me wrong, Two-Face has a great story, but I don't feel like they really added anything to it, and I don't feel that was needed, especially in this first season. I think that maybe it should have been saved, kind of like the animated show. If I remember correctly, I don't think that in the first season Harvey Dent became Two-Face. So like I do like the look of Two-Face in here. I thought it was more real, and gritty, kind of like the Dark Knight. But at the same time, again, it's just we've seen this so many times. I've had enough. Firebug's inclusion is a real blaze of mediocrity. I mean, his role as a villain is so minimal and predictable. I mean, it's like watching a fireworks show that fizzles out before it even gets started. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the only fire here is the one burning through the plot's potential. Catwoman, voiced by Christina Ricci, which I have to say, I am enjoying Christina Ricci's like kind of like soft comeback. She's been all these like little projects. I kind of like it. You know what I'm saying? But she tries to bring some flair to the series, but ends up looking more like a vintage costume party reject. You know what I'm saying? Like her 1940s themed outfit is might be stylish. I mean, maybe, but it's as practical as wearing a ball gown to a heist, which she does in this show. And the chemistry between her and Batman is fine. It's kind of awkward, like when you're at a high school dance and you didn't bring a date and you're trying to ask somebody to dance with you. But I did like Selena Kyle's interactions with Bruce Wayne. I thought that was more enjoyable than Catwoman's interactions with Batman. But again, the costume was just a fail, in my opinion. The show's handling of Catwoman's character is like trying to put a bat in a tutu. I mean, the period costumes and the outdated accessories make her seem like a character from a forgotten noir comic rather than a modern villain. I mean, it's a missed opportunity to bring a fresh take on a classic character. The show's attempt to bring a noir vibe to Gotham falls flat, in my opinion. I mean, it's supposed to be a homage to classic Hollywood, but instead, it ends up feeling like a high school play of Casablanca. Ambitious, but lacking in substance. The supernatural elements, including Gentleman Ghost and Nocturna, feel shoehorned in like a bat signal on a pumpkin. I mean, these ghostly characters are supposed to add a layer of intrigue, but they end up being more like a haunted house with no scares. I mean, that's the thing about, Gentleman Ghost is like, he scares you, but he's not really a ghost. And I have to just say, I don't like supernatural elements in my Batman. Nocturna. Now, this villain's powers are so bizarre and underwhelming that you might think they were picked out of a hat. Or they just threw darts at the board to figure out what it was. I mean, imagine if the Joker and a super villain theme park had a baby, and then you get Nocturna. It's confusing and a bit of a letdown. Bullock and Floss are portrayed as corrupt detectives, which Floss is fine, but Bullock is not a corrupt detective in lore, and it really bothers me that they did this. I mean, their antics are more like a cat fight between two alley cats than a serious investigation. I mean, it's messy, uncomfortable, and just plain unappealing. And I feel like they sacrificed Bullock as a good cop to rise up Montoya as a good detective. I'm not body shaming, but I'm sorry, but like her running, I'm like, this bitch is not out of breath, and she would be. But I really didn't like the way that they handled Bullock. I mean, Montoya, I'm fine with it, but again, you don't need to bring down a character to raise up another character, and that's what they did here. And I really just think it was blasphemy in terms of that character. The pacing of Batman the Caped Crusader is not smooth at all. I mean, episodes drag on like Batman's cape in a windstorm, and the twists and turns feel more like speed bumps than an exhilarating reveals. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, the dialogue is a real letdown in this show. I mean, it's supposed to be sharp and witty, but instead it's soft and unremarkable. I mean, the lines fall flat and the interactions between the characters feel forced and unnatural. The character development is about as deep as a puddle after a light rain, and the characters evolve, sure, but their transformations are more superficial than substantial. I mean, it's like watching a bat try to be a night owl. It just doesn't work. I mean, interesting in theory, but ultimately not very compelling. The art style of the show is a mixed bag for me personally. I mean, on one hand, it's unique and has a certain flair, but on the other hand, it's bold but not necessarily effective. And sometimes it just ends up being jarring, in my opinion. The show's serialized storytelling approach might have sounded great on paper, but in practice, it's more like a series of missed opportunities. Instead of weaving an engaging narrative, it often feels like a string of disjointed episodes with little cohesion. I mean, I understand that's what they did back in the day with the Batman animated series, but I feel like we've come a little bit further, and you can have these episodic episodes, but maybe try to get an overarching story with this show, I feel like would have been a better choice. I also would have felt like would have been a better choice to have, maybe 2-part or 3-part episodes. You remember like when they first started the show and you had Red Claw, I think that was a 3-part episode, and I really liked that. But and here they kind of did it, but not really. The mature tone of the show is supposed to set it apart, but it often feels like it's trying too hard to be edgy. Instead of being groundbreaking, it ends up being more like a grim reminder of how not to handle a beloved character. And I find this a problem with the show of and DC in general in animation trying to make these cartoons more adult and for adults, because then I cannot watch it with my children. My daughter loves Harley Quinn. But there's no Harley Quinn for her these days. I can't read her the comics because they're just too much, adult stuff in there. She can't watch the Harley Quinn show because that is way inappropriate for a child. She can't watch the Suicide Squad movies because those movies are not made for children. And all I have to go back on, and she can't watch this show. I'm sorry, but it's not as bad as the Harley Quinn show, but there are just too many things that I'm just like, I don't need my child to see this. And I wish that they would go back to the basics and try to create a show that I would be okay with my children watching after school like I used to. In conclusion, Batman the Caped Crusader is like a bat cave full of cobwebs, dark, dusty, and in dire need of renovation. It has some interesting ideas and moments, but overall, it fails to live up to the high expectations set by its impressive pedigree. And so that's my review for Batman the Caped Crusader, you guys. And if you're a Batman fan looking for a fresh and exciting take on the Dark Knight, you might want to keep your bat signal on standby for something better. So until next time, tell me what you guys thought about Batman the Caped Crusader. I mean, did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your favorite part? Who was your favorite villain / character? Are you like me and you didn't really enjoy it that much and kind of thought it was a little boring and sluggish? Or did you just love the shit out of it? If you did, that's great. I'm always jealous of people that love stuff and I want to love, because I'm like, I really wanted to like this show because I love Batman the Animated Series so much. But again, I do think that Bruce Timm has lost the plot, and I think maybe he should take a step back from now on and stop messing with Batman Animated Series. All right, but tell me what you guys thought. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind if you mention. Please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys on my next review. You guys have a good day. Bye.